What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. In today's video, we're taking a look at the upcoming Willpower Cup, coming back for the first time in almost 3 years since we've had this meta, and it's focused all on Psychic, Dark, and Fighting type Pokemon. Now, there are obviously going to be some things that are pretty centralizing in this meta, as is any Niantic meta. They don't really curate their metas whatsoever anymore, and I'll let that be a testament to what it is. But in any case, we're going to do what we usually do here, and we're going to take a look at the rankings here and check out some standout picks and some about 5 teams that I think are going to do well in the format, at least starting off before it evolves into some double bite hole madness with Ice Fang Drapions, and I don't even know what else there's going to be, but I remember it vaguely from last time. Also, Mud Slap is still a thing as well, and there's literally 3 Mud Slappers in this cup, and let's take a look at what they are, shall we? There is quite literally a Claydol, and then you have XL Krokorok, which, look, if you got it, go for it, I guess. But Crocodile in the Great League can only be obtained, I think, by completing the level 42 or 43 research. So talk about accessibility, but thankfully I don't think that Mud Slap is going to be super critical to have in this meta, because we do have things like Mandibuzz and, I mean, I guess really just Mandibuzz, really. I mean, yeah. That seems to be the only thing that I don't really care to put my Mud Slappers against. I get a Cresselia. All right, fine, Cresselia, I guess, and Galarian Moltres. But speaking of, all 3 of those are going to be pretty interesting picks here. I think Cresselia could have a very strong play if you want to try to take the gamble on aligning it against the Mud Slapper. It really doesn't have a whole lot of play anywhere else, though, unfortunately. Otherwise, it's just a damage sponge, but I'm sure that it will work for some people who want to try it. But the Mandibuzz and Galarian Moltres are the Dark Flyers of choice, as they are the main and really only hard answers to things like Claydol. As Claydol, you can see all the poison types that are here, all of these dark poison types. Literally every poison type here is a dark poison type. And as well as Overquill and Hisuian Quillfish. Those are all like high rankings, so that's why Mud Slap on Claydol is going to be such a centralizing thing in this meta. So Claydol also running Ice Beam in this format. You could change the second move if you want to, but Ice Beam allows it to be able to hit those Mandibuzzes with some level of certainty. But aside from that, like, I genuinely think that pretty much everything after, like, literally, I think after like rank 11 or 12, the whole meta just falls off into run it if you want to. You're probably not going to do well with it, though. But one thing that I will point out down here, you have Annihilape and Primeape as their new Ragefist Community Day moves have been added. It's still, it's going to be, like, it's okay. I wouldn't make it, like, it's not a must run. People will make it work as usual, but I don't think it's going to be a super critical thing. But I like Galarian Slowbro a lot, and Pawniard has always been a very interesting core breaker in this meta, as long as you can keep it away from Claydol. It really core breaks almost everything else in this cup except for fighters, which, again, I would very much expect Gardevoir, Cresselia, Rapidash. They may be fairly common because they need to be able to deal with those dark types that'll be everywhere. So I would certainly be careful if you're going to be running any fighters, because between Mandibuzz and Gardevoir, I'd be terrified, to be completely honest with you, because with Ragefist, it's not really an amazing answer to any of the dark poisons. But being that as it may, let's take a look at the first team that I'm going to be looking to, you know, utilize in this meta, and that is going to be Mandibuzz Double Dark Poison. And so really, you could change Drapion out for almost anything if you really want to. Like, you could run Claydol. I like Hisuian Quillfish as a safe switch because it has access to Ice Beam and Aqua Tail. And truthfully, the poison damage isn't going to matter as much, because the only thing the poison damage really is used against is going to be the fairies, which are already so they're already so frail, being Rapidash and Gardevoir, that Aqua Tail does the job just as fine. So truthfully, Quillfish is going to do very well as a safe switch, and you could throw Drapion, Shadow Drapion in there as your third if you want to. But Drapion in general is going to be very good. Mandibuzz just is extremely good, and the way that we play this team is using Quillfish to bait out the Claydol, and then you're going to be using Drapion to be your closer. And again, that's why you could pretty much put any Drapion or anything like it in that slot, whatever you're kind of feeling like. Straight B's with an A for safety. This is a very consistent, safe team in this meta, even against things that technically beat it on paper, right? Quillfish and Overquill, really not going to be super worried about those, because I'll tell you right now, the secret tech is Air/Mandibuzz. I promise it's better in this meta with all the darks you're gonna see. Watch, it just turned the coverage from a B to an A. We did it live. We did it live. You were here, you saw it happen live on the channel. Now that Air/Mandibuzz is going to be, in my opinion, the preferred way to play it in this cup, because there's so many things that you would prefer to have it for. And honestly, Snarl is, I mean, what are you gonna do with Snarl? Hit Dark Poisons with Snarl? Anyway, this is why I'm also calling Pawniard as a really good core breaker, because it completely decimates this team, especially if Pawniard is like able to get an energy advantage or shield advantage somewhere. It really does just kind of wreck this team. But in general, the team is very, very strong. One of the best, I would say. But let's take a look at number 2. We were talking about Gardevoir earlier. Well, if you happen to have a Crocodile and you want to be a D-Gen and try to completely hard counter the team that I just had on the screen, well, let me tell you about Double Mud Slap. This is going to be a team that you're probably going to see several times. You have Gardevoir in the lead, and then you're going to be using Claydol as your way to bait out the Mandibuzz, or you're just going to be putting Mud Slappers on a double Dark Poisons, because that's probably what a lot of people are going to opt to run. And then we're going to have Gardevoir on the lead to just hopefully deal with everything else. Now, I will say that if you do end up seeing a Claydol on the lead, could be a little bit risky because you don't necessarily know what's going to be in the back. You kind of have to switch. I would almost say you could safe switch the Crocodile if you do end up seeing the guard, or you see the Claydol on the lead. But overall, this team has extremely good coverage on the meta. You'll see that everything pretty much, aside from very, very few things, which no one's playing Mew, no one's playing the Slowbro or Slowking from the Johto, like no one's playing those. This team has coverage for everything else. So very fast move D-Gen sort of team. You know, I don't usually like these kinds of teams. However, this team just, it looks too strong to just not, you know, not look at, or you can't ignore it, right? If you're not going to use it, at least know that it exists. With that being said, let's take a look at a third team that's probably less toxic, but we'll see. Now this team is going to feature my secret Galarian Slowbro tech. This is a poison double dark flyer team because we want to be able to, again, be able to beat the opposing dart. Oh my goodness, you want to be able to beat the opposing Mud Slappers in the back. So again, because my brain turned off because it's after 9 o'clock at night. Anyway, we got Galarian Slowbro. It's got good energy into this whole cup. The thing that I would be very cautious of here is Dark Poisons. There's really not a strong way for us to deal with it unless you decide you want to put Wing Attack on the Moltres, which I don't know is the great idea, but you could try it. And Mandibuzz, again, with Air Slash probably does a lot better with this team. Again, I bet you we just change this. We'll do it again. Watch this. It didn't change anything, but still having Air Slash on the Mandibuzz I think is going to be a better call in this meta. And then Galarian Moltres, just, it threatens shields, right? It's gonna really, like, what are you going to draw out with it other than like a Charmer? Like, there's not much else that can just safely come in on a Galarian Moltres and just deal with it. So that being said, Galarian Moltres with Sucker Punch, it does do a lot of damage with the Sucker Punches, but again, you just have to be careful of dealing with Dark Poisons. Aside from that, though, the team looks pretty solid. Taking a look at the double fighting Ragefist team. If I was going to put it with anything, I think I would put it with a Hisuian Quillfish, because we want to be able to beat the things that, like Mandibuzz, right, and Galarian Moltres. Because they're the flyers and we have fighting and ghost type damage, that can be a very risky sort of matchup, especially if the opponents catch on and are running Air Slash. Having Ice Beam on the Hisuian Quillfish does make it a little bit easier to deal with things like that. And honestly, I think that with Rage Fist, the Mud Slap, Claydol, and especially the Crocodile are just going to get destroyed. So the only main issues that Quillfish is going to have is really Mud Slappers, and both the Primeape and Annihilate duo are going to be able to handle those very nice. You get an A, a solid A for coverage. Again, ABB teams are just really rocking in this meta, but an F for bulk, that's a failing grade on this, but everything beats Drapion at least, so there's that. That's always good. Everything also beats Skuntank, so there's also that. But as far as things that beat this whole team, it's literally just Bruxish, and you have play against everything else in this meta. So Annihilate itself could be kind of scary, especially if you don't have a really good way to deal with it. Like, if your Annihilate doesn't get ahead of their Annihilate, might be a problem. Like, if somebody safe swaps Annihilate, like, what are you going to do? right? Like maybe you bring in your Karate Chop Primeape or just Chip and Dip. I don't know. But in any case, this team looks incredibly potent for this meta if things shape the way in the double Mud Slap or even double Dark Poison. Honestly, I could see that also being a thing. But let's take a look at our final team of the video. And this team is going to be literally, let's max out the bulk as much as we can and just win with stat product. And so you could play this team realistically in almost any order. But the way that I picked it was that we had Cresselia on the lead with 2 things in the back that were slightly better into the Dark Poison. So Mandibuzz with Air Slash and Claydol with Mud Slap are going to be your preferred ways to deal with the Dark Poison. I know Mandibuzz is not necessarily a wins per se, but you could certainly make it happen. And in any case, if you get a shield advantage on the Mandibuzz, you just destroy pretty much anything in this cup, except for Gardevoir. But that being said, your real only losses here, and you could easily replace the Mandibuzz with a Moltres if you wanted to. But you've got, Umbreon somehow beats Mandibuzz with Air Slash. I'm not really sure how. And Alolan Raticate's also a pretty interesting pick. But again, because of all of the dark poisons, things that resist the dark type damage that crunch, like you might need to have a Hyper Fang Raticate in order to really take advantage of the Raticate itself. But overall, this team looks like it's going to do really well. Nothing on this list is something that I'm worried about seeing a whole. So that being said, that's going to do it for the Willpower Cup video for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what team you're going to be running here in the Willpower Cup, and hopefully we'll see you guys on stream later at rotation. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.